What if I told you we kind of have a superpower, the ability to see things that are completely invisible to the naked eye? Well, in a way, we do. High above us, satellites are constantly looking down, and they're giving us this incredible new way to see and understand our home planet. So let's dive in and learn how we're reading our planet's vital signs from space.
We're going to start with the problem that, well, it feels all too familiar these days: fire. We're talking massive, destructive forest and land fires that are just incredibly difficult to get a handle on from the ground.
And just to give you a sense of the scale we're dealing with, take a look at this. Back in 97 and 98, fires in Indonesia burned through 9.7 million hectares. To put that in perspective, that's an area bigger than the entire country of Portugal. Just gone.
So that leads to a really critical question, right? When you're dealing with disasters this huge, stretching across entire regions, how can you possibly map the damage? How do you even begin to understand the impact?
Well, the answer, as you've probably guessed, is up in space with those satellites. But it's not just about snapping a picture from orbit. It's about their ability to see what we can't.
See, our eyes are only tuned to this tiny little sliver of the light spectrum. The reds, greens, and blues we see every day. But satellites, they have sensors that can see way beyond that, into wavelengths like near-infrared and shortwave infrared. You can think of them as invisible colors, and each one carries totally unique information about the health of the world down below. And this just shows you the difference perfectly. On the left, that's some vegetation, just as we'd see it. Pretty straightforward. But on the right, that's the exact same spot, just viewed in one of those non-visible bands. See how the plants suddenly look almost pitch black? That's because they're reflecting that particular wavelength of light way differently than the soil around them. And that is the key.
Okay, so scientists have all this amazing data coming in from these different invisible light bands. But how do they turn that into something actually useful? Well, the secret is in the math. And believe it or not, it's pretty simple. They use ratios.
It's called a spectral index. Sounds fancy, I know, but it's really just a formula, usually some basic addition, subtraction, and division. It just combines the data from two or more of these spectral bands, and each formula is specifically designed to make one particular thing, like healthy plants or burned ground, really stand out from everything else.
Here's why that's so clever. By making it a ratio, you basically cancel out all the distracting stuff, like shadows from a hill or just changes in sunlight during the day. Since those things affect both light bands pretty much the same way, the ratio between them stays constant. It gives you a pure, clean signal of what's really on the ground. So let's look at the most famous spectral index of them all, the rock star of the group, NDVI. It's an incredibly powerful tool for measuring the health of plants all over the globe.
What's so cool here is how this formula taps directly into biology. It's all about photosynthesis. You see, the chlorophyll in a healthy plant is built to soak up red light for energy, but at the same time, the actual structure of the plant's cells bounces near-infrared light away like crazy. The NDVI formula just perfectly captures that biological signal.
And the result is this beautifully simple value somewhere between -1 and +1. The closer you get to +1, the healthier and more dense the vegetation is. As that value drops towards 0, you're looking at stressed out plants or just bare soil. And negative values, that's usually water, snow, or buildings. It's like an instant health check for an entire ecosystem.
But what about that fire problem we started with? For that, we need a different tool. So scientists developed another index specifically for this purpose, the normalized burn ratio, or NBR.
Just like NDVI, it's a simple ratio. But instead of red light, NSBR uses shortwave infrared, or SWIR. And here's the trick. Healthy plants reflect a lot of near-infrared and absorb SWIR. But after a fire, all that ash and charcoal on the ground does the complete opposite. It absorbs NIR and strongly reflects SWIR. This index is tailor-made to spot that exact flip.
So let's jump back to Indonesia. This is a chunk of forest in Bengkalis. On the left, that's before a fire. On the right, after. Now, you can see some changes, sure, but it's a little messy, right? There's clouds, there's haze. It's hard to tell exactly where the damage starts and stops.
But now watch this. This is what happens when we apply the NBR index. The image on the right is that same forest after the fire, but seen through NBR. Whoa! Those dark, almost black patches, that's the burn scar. It just pops out with unbelievable clarity. There's no guesswork here. This is the power of using the right tool for the right job.
And hey, this isn't just a neat visual trick, it's proven science. As you can see from this table, a study on these very fires confirmed that using the NBR index could pinpoint burn scars with over 81% accuracy. For first responders and conservationists, that means having a reliable, large-scale way to assess damage and start planning the recovery.
So we can track how healthy plants are, and we can map giant fires. But the applications of these indices go so much further. It's really like we've built a vital signs monitor for the entire planet. By mixing and matching different invisible light bands, we can create indices to watch almost any major system on Earth. We can track the water content in leaves to predict drought, map the shrinking of glaciers, even estimate how much carbon is being stored in a forest. It's a total game changer.
Take a look at this map. This is showing monthly drought conditions in a province in Afghanistan, and it was all calculated using a vegetation index. Now, for farmers, for city planners, for governments, this isn't just data. This is critical, life-saving information about where water is scarce and where crops might fail. It lets them act before a crisis gets out of control.
So these spectral indices, they've given us a whole new language to understand the Earth. We're literally learning to read the subtle signals of its health in light that our own eyes will never, ever see. And it really leaves you with a final thought. As our satellites get even more advanced and our understanding grows, what other vital signs are we about to discover? What else is the planet trying to tell us?